Hello, my name is Elisa Brooks, and I'm a literacy coach with the Mississippi Department of Education. This month's Literacy Focus of the Month in action is Comprehension. The State Board of Education's vision and mission. Our vision is to create a world-class educational system that gives students the knowledge and skills to be successful in college and the workforce, and to flourish as parents and citizens. Our mission is to provide leadership through the development of policy and accountability systems so that all students are prepared to compete in the global community. Our State Board of Education goals, the 5-year strategic plan for 2016 through 2021. All students are proficient in showing growth in all assessed areas. Every student graduates high school and is ready for college and career. Every child has access to a high-quality early childhood program. Every school has effective teachers and leaders. Every community effectively using a world-class data system to improve student outcomes. Every school and district is rated C or higher. Our session goals: to discuss the purpose of the Literacy Focus of the month, to examine the importance on comprehension, and to explore comprehension activities. The purpose of the Literacy Focus of the month is to provide guidance to administrators and teachers for supporting a monthly, school-wide instructional focus based on best practices and research-based strategies in literacy. The Literacy Focus for December is Comprehension. First, we will discuss the importance of comprehension. What is comprehension? Comprehension is the ability to understand, remember, and communicate what has been read. Comprehension is the goal of reading. What students need to learn. Students need to learn how to understand what they read. They need to remember what they read and communicate to others about what they read. Students need to learn how to relate their own knowledge or experiences to text. And they also need to learn how to use comprehension strategies to improve their comprehension. How we teach it. We explicitly explain, model, and teach comprehension strategies such as previewing and summarizing text. We provide comprehension instruction before, during, and after reading narrative and expository texts. We promote thinking and extended discourse by asking questions. And we also provide extended opportunities for English learners to participate in all of the above. Next, we will discuss comprehension strategies. 3, 2, 1. This strategy provides a structure for students to record their own comprehension and summarize their learning. It also gives teachers the opportunity to identify areas that need reteaching, as well as areas of student interest. One variation of this strategy is to have students write 3 things they learned from the text, 2 interesting findings, and 1 question they still have after reading. ABC brainstorm. When using this strategy, students think of a word or phrase associated with the topic and match it to each letter of the alphabet. The teacher may give students time to think of many different ideas, and then allow them to work in small groups to fill in the blanks for the letters they have not completed. Ideas for assessment. This strategy can be used as a pre-assessment tool to see what background knowledge students are bringing to the topic. It can also be used as a formative assessment to assess students' understanding of the presented information. Selective highlighting. Selective highlighting or underlining is used to help students organize what they have read by selecting what is important. This strategy teaches students to highlight or underline only the key words, phrases, vocabulary, and ideas that are central to understanding the reading. Close reading. Close reading is thoughtful, critical analysis of a text that focuses on significant details or patterns in order to develop a deep, precise understanding of the text's form, craft, meanings, etc. Close reading directs the reader's attention to the text itself. It includes using short pieces of text, diving right into the text with limited pre-reading activities, rereading deliberately, noticing things that are confusing, discussing the text with others, and responding to text-dependent questions. During the first read of close reading, students get to know the text. They read for enjoyment. They pay close attention to what the text says, focusing primarily on reading standards 1, 2, and 3. During the second read, students pay attention to how the text works. They discuss vocabulary, text structure, text features, and the author's point of view. They reread a section of the text using annotation symbols to locate important information and make connections with unfamiliar words or phrases. Students focus primarily on reading standards 4, 5, and 6. During the third read, students focus on what the text means. They discuss author's purpose, the reader's point of view. They make inferences and connections. They also reread the targeted section and respond to text-dependent questions, focusing primarily on reading standards 7, 8, and 9. The teacher's role during a close reading. Teachers select challenging and appropriate text. They analyze the text content and language ahead of time. They anticipate potential challenges the text may present for certain students. They write text-dependent questions that engage students in interpretive tasks. They lead rich and rigorous conversations through the use of text-dependent questions. They also ensure reading activities stay closely connected to the text. The student's role in a close reading. Students read the text more than once. They analyze the text for purposes and/or levels of meaning. They use evidence from the text to ask and answer text-dependent questions. They increase comprehension of a text through multiple rereadings. They also participate in rich and rigorous conversations about a common text. Text-dependent questions. Text-dependent questions can only be answered by referring back to the text being read. Text-dependent questions can only be answered with evidence from the text. They can be literal but must also involve analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. They focus on the word, sentence, and paragraph, as well as larger ideas, themes, or events. They focus on difficult portions of text in order to enhance reading proficiency and can also include prompts for writing and discussion questions. The Mississippi College and Career Readiness Standards require students to read closely to determine what the text says explicitly and to make logical inferences from it. Remember, teachers must explicitly teach comprehension strategies. Students must know the names of specific strategies and how these strategies can help them understand what they read. We do this to equip students with an ample amount of strategies that can be recalled and reused time and time again. For additional resources, you can access the Mississippi Department of Education's literacy website or the Strong Leaders website. Below is the contact information for any further questions. Thank you.
Greetings, my name is Ashley Lanford and I serve as a literacy coach for the Mississippi Department of Education. This month's Elementary Literacy Focus of the Month deals with comprehension. The strategy for comprehension is close reading. Close reading is a thoughtful, critical analysis of a text that focuses on significant details or patterns in order to develop a deep, precise understanding of the text's form, craft, meaning, etc. It directs the reader's attention to the text itself. This activity is located on page 47 of the Elementary Literacy Focus of the Month manual. During close reading, the teacher guides students into digging deeper into a text by having students read the text multiple times. With each reading of the text, students are reading to find what the text says, how the text works, and what the text means. This strategy may be done over multiple days depending on the length of the text and the level of the students. To complete this activity, teachers will need a text that is challenging and appropriate, making sure to analyze the content and language ahead of time. Teachers will need to write text-dependent questions that engage students in interpretive tasks. The teacher will make sure that the conversations regarding the text are rich and rigorous and are centered around the text-dependent questions. Students will read the text multiple times. With the first read, students get to know the text. With the second read, the students will annotate the text for important information, making connection to those unfamiliar words and phrases, and state the central idea or main idea of the paragraphs. The third read, students read to make connections, make inferences, and understand the author's purpose and the point of view of the reader. Once they've finished the third read, students will answer the text-dependent questions. This activity will be modeled in a way to show the gradual release of this to the students. With this activity, students need to be able to annotate text, know how to think, pair, share, and know how to go back within the text to answer questions. In the video, you will notice evidence of how to annotate text and how to think, pair, share already have been taught. Good morning, boys and girls.
Good morning.
How are y'all this morning?
Good.
Good. Okay, today we're going to be looking at a close read. Remember when we did close reads?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, well today we're going to do a close read of an informational text. Now, remember, with a close read, there are 3 things we have to do. First, we have to read it to get the gist. We need to know what we're reading, right?
Yes, ma'am.
The second read, we read to dig for some more information. That's where we look at the vocabulary, we look to find words that we may not know, and we may look at phrases that we may not know. And then the third read, we look to see, do we understand it? Can we answer our text-dependent questions about it? And can we get more out of what we read? Okay? So today we're actually going to do a close read, and our story is called Coral Reef Goes Digital. Who can tell me something about looking at that picture, about the coral reef? Look at your picture. What can you tell me about your picture? If you know something, raise your hand.
That many animals live in the little holes.
Very good. Many animals live in the little holes. I see that right there. I see all the fish, and I see that in my coral reef. Good job, Patrick. So, we're going to do a close read. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to read the first paragraph to us, okay? So, coral reef goes digital. Can computers help save this endangered habitat? Live from Australia is the Great Barrier Reef. Scientists are using special sensors known as digital skins to monitor changes in this underwater treasure. The sensors are devices that record changes in the ocean and send up-to-minute information to computers. Until now, scientists were able to monitor changes only after they had occurred. Scientists hope that the new information will help them learn how to better care for the coral reefs. Well, that was my first read. Now I need to dig deeper. I need to get more information. Well, there's a word that I need to know up here, and it's endangered. And I also need to know what a habitat is. Class, what does endangered mean? What does endangered mean?
There's not many left of an animal.
Very good. There's not many left of that. So, if something's endangered, it means it's almost extinct, right? So what is a habitat?
A place where something lives.
A place where something lives. So our habitat is where we live. Another word that I may need to know is sensors. I need to know what a sensor is, right? What also tells me that this is a key word? Look at that word on your paper. That word is what? Bold. Say it louder, girls.
Bold.
It's bold. So that tells me that is a key word I need to know. So, I've dug a little deeper in here. Now I need to know, it says on my chart here, you know the main idea and key details. So, since this is an informational text, I'm going to find the main idea. What is the main idea of this passage? Well, to me, when I read it, the main idea was scientists use sensors to monitor the changes of the what? Great Barrier Reef. So, out here to the side, I'm going to annotate, and I'm going to write main idea. And I'm going to say that it's scientists and I'm going to abbreviate. Let's look at that second paragraph. The reef rescue. Read that to yourself, and I want you to go through there and underline any of our words. Now let's look at our annotating marks poster real quick. What are we supposed to do?
Circle powerful words or phrases.
And then we
Underline words or phrases you do not understand.
very good. And at the end we need to
Write important thoughts
in the margin. And our important thoughts, what we're going to be writing is our main idea, okay? So what I want you to do right now is read that paragraph on reef rescue, and then I want you to circle the important words and underline anything you don't know, and I'm going to give you just a few minutes to do that. Good. Okay, eyes up here. Let's look at this. I want to read this out loud to you, and we're going to read these first two paragraphs under reef rescue. Coral reefs around the world are in trouble. Fishing nets and ships damage the reefs and break off sections of them. Natural disasters and pollution are also doing harm. At the same time, warmer sea temperatures cause the coral to die. Did anybody find any important words in that part as they read that? Is there any important words in there? Did you find some? What were your important words?
Coral.
Coral, very good. So what do I need to do? I need to circle coral. And we also know that that is a keyword because it is bold. Very good. I might also, for myself, look at what natural disasters are. That would be something that I may underline, that I may not understand, but need to know more about. Okay, let's look at that second paragraph there. Although coral may look like a plant, it is actually made up of tiny animals called polyps. As polyps die, they leave behind hard shells. Other polyps grow on top of the shells. Over many years, the polyps form coral reefs. What was the key word that we may need to know in there?
Polyps.
Polyps, very good. And if we look at our text, we notice that the polyp has a what out beside it? A number 1. What does that 1 reference me to? What does that 1 reference me to?
The definition.
The definition. And it says a polyp is a very small sea creature. And that right there tells me where it is. Very good. So, turn and talk in your group and figure out what is the main idea of those two paragraphs together. Turn and talk in your group and figure out what is the main idea of those two paragraphs. So turn and talk. I want to hear conversations. Okay. So is that the main idea, or is that a detail that supports that main idea? Very good. That is a detail. That is a very key detail. So what do y'all think the main idea is? So looking at that paragraph, what do y'all think that main idea is? Okay, so I'm hearing basically the same thing about what y'all think the main idea is. Now, when I'm marking my paper, what do I need to do for main idea? Do I just leave it, or do I need to write it out to the side?
Write it out to the side.
So in my margin, I'm going to write MI, and that's going to stand for my main idea. And I'm actually going to underline it because it is a lot. But what is my main idea of this paragraph? What is my main idea?
Coral reefs around the world are in trouble.
Very good. That is my main idea. My main idea is that coral reefs around the world are in trouble, or that coral reefs are in trouble in general. What can be a great detail to back this main idea up? What is a key detail? And I'm actually going to pick on somebody because they told me the key detail a while ago. What's that key detail?
Fishing nets and ships damage the reefs and break off sections of them.
Very good. Those fishing nets and those boats, they actually break off those reefs. And another one would be natural disasters, that word that I was looking at. So those are some key detail words that I would need to know. Okay, so let's look at some questions about our coral reef. So if we turn to the next page, and I'm going to scroll down. Looking at question number 1. According to the passage, the following are true about coral reefs except. Talk in your group and figure out which one is not true about a coral reef. So in your groups, I want you to discuss this and make sure that you can go back and find your answer in the passage. Okay. Did you talk to your group? Talk to your group. Okay, eyes back on me. So I think I'm hearing the same thing. So what is our answer? C. C. Is the coral reef a plant or is it actually an animal? It's an animal. So it's not a sea plant. Okay, let's look at number 2. Read these 2 sentences from the passage, and we actually read these 2 sentences a while ago. Fishing nets and ships damage the reefs and break off sections of them. Coral reefs are incredibly threatened. How do these 2 sentences relate to each other? Talk in your group. Okay, so how do these 2 sentences relate to each other? The first gives a cause of the second. Very good. And what is cause and effect? What is cause and effect? Can anybody define that for me? You just had it? Okay. So the first gives a cause of the second. So the first is the cause and the second is the effect. Very good. Okay, and we're going to look at one more question. Turn to question 5. What is the main idea of this passage? So discuss in your group the overall main idea of this passage. Okay, so what do we think the main idea of this passage is? If you think it's A, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you got A. If you think it's B, raise your hand. Okay, let's look at this. Let's read them. Not enough is being done to save coral reefs from the dangers of fishing, natural disasters, and pollution. Sensors that monitor changes in reefs will help scientists learn how to better care for the reef. So, this passage Was it talking just about the sensors, or was it actually talking about the coral reef? It was actually talking about the coral reef itself and ways that it gets hurt and then the ways that we can save it. So what would my answer be? It would be A. It would be A. Because the sensors are something that we are actually going to start doing now to help save the coral reef. But we need to make sure that fishing, natural disasters, and pollution stop in order for us to help save it as well, right? Very good. So, let's review what a close read was. When I do a close read, the first read I do what? Break the surface. I read it to get a gist, to understand it. The second read I read to get more information, dig a little deeper. And what am I going to do at this time? I'm going to circle and underline. I'm going to annotate my text. And then the third read, I'm reading to understand it. Very good. And I need to make sure that when I read, I can explain it, I can tell you the main idea, and I can answer questions about it. Good job, boys and girls. For independent practice, the teacher can distribute a passage. Students will read the passage multiple times, making sure to annotate the passage and to answer the text-dependent questions.